Disclaimer: this content is only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. I wasn't supposed to be there that night, not like that. I had just stepped into the hallway, barefoot, wearing one of those oversized t-shirts that barely covered my thighs. The kind you wear when you're trying not to look like you're trying. I was halfway to the kitchen when I heard the back door creak open. I froze. The clock said 11:42. Way too late for anyone to be coming home, except him. Tyler. My stepson. 19. Reserved. Too quiet for most of the year he'd been living with me. We never really talked unless we had to. But lately, the tension had shifted. It wasn't cold anymore. It was heavy. Warm. Electric. I turned to see him standing there, hoodie half unzipped, his eyes darker than usual. He didn't say anything at first. Just stood in the doorway, chest rising and falling like he'd just run a mile. Maybe from something. Maybe toward something. I tried to play it cool. Asked him if he was okay. He didn't answer right away. Just walked in slowly, eyes not leaving mine. The space between us felt like it was closing on its own. And then he stopped right in front of me. "You don't have to pretend anymore," he said, voice low but sure. "I'm done pretending." It knocked the air right out of me. For a second, I couldn't move. I didn't know what he meant. Or maybe I did. Maybe I'd known for a while, but didn't want to admit it. Didn't want to cross that line. But the way he was looking at me now, there was no mistaking it. This wasn't some confused teenager looking for attention. This was a young man who had made up his mind. He stepped closer. I backed up, just a little, just enough to feel the counter behind me. My heart was pounding, not with fear, but with something I hadn't let myself feel in a long time. There was history here. Emotions we hadn't named. Moments we hadn't spoken of. Glances that lasted too long. Silences that meant more than words. And now it was all out there, between us. And he wasn't backing down. Not this time. He reached up, his fingers almost brushing my cheek, and then the front door clicked. We both froze. That sound didn't just break the silence, it shattered it. And just like that, everything we hadn't said hung heavier in the air than before. I didn't know what was going to happen next. I just knew nothing would ever be the same again. For a moment, neither of us moved. The click of the front door echoed in the silence like a warning shot. Tyler's hand stayed frozen in the air, inches from my face. My heart was pounding so loud I thought maybe he could hear it. "Is someone here?" I whispered. He didn't answer. His eyes flicked toward the hallway, then back to me. That was the first time I noticed he looked nervous, but not surprised. Like he'd expected this night to unfold somehow. Like he'd already played it out in his head. I stepped around him, slowly, not sure what I was doing. Just reacting. I peeked around the corner toward the living room, expecting to see someone standing there, but there was nothing. Just shadows. I turned back. "Did you lock the door behind you?" Tyler nodded, jaw tight. "Yeah, I always do." He moved closer again, softer this time, like the moment hadn't been broken at all. "We need to talk," he said. I should have shut it down. Said it was late. Said we'd talk tomorrow. But something about the way he looked at me, it wasn't just attraction. It was something heavier. "You've been different lately," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Distant. Quiet. He exhaled and leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "You noticed?" "Of course I noticed. I live with you. I see you every day." He stared at the floor for a long second, then looked up. "I didn't know how to be around you anymore. It got too real." That hit me harder than I expected. "What got too real?" I asked. He didn't blink. "The way I feel when I'm around you. The way you look at me sometimes, like you're trying not to feel the same." I opened my mouth to respond, but nothing came out. He continued. "I'm not a kid, and I know what I want. I'm tired of pretending we're just stepfamily who pass each other in the kitchen. That we don't feel something else." It was too much. Too fast. But part of me had been waiting for this conversation, even if I hadn't admitted it to myself. "I'm your stepmom," I said quietly. He took a step forward. That doesn't mean anything. Not really. Not with how we met. Not with how things have been. And it's true. I married his dad barely 6 months ago. Tyler had only moved in after the wedding. We hadn't grown up together. There wasn't a long shared history, but that didn't make the situation simple. He's your father, I reminded him, voice catching. I know. And that's what's messing me up, he said. Because he doesn't see you. Not really. Not like I do. Not like you deserve. That was the moment I realized something deeper was going on here. Tyler wasn't just acting out. He was carrying something. Maybe resentment. Maybe loneliness. Maybe more. And I was right in the middle of it. I didn't know what to say. Or what to feel. All I knew was that the air between us had shifted again. And nothing about this night was going to be easy. I turned away from him, pretending to fix the dish towel on the counter just to keep my hands busy. My head was spinning. I wasn't sure if it was what he said, or how calmly he said it, like he'd been holding it in for weeks. Maybe longer. Behind me, I could hear him shifting his weight, pacing slowly, but not leaving. He wasn't walking away from this. That was clear. You don't have to say anything, Tyler said quietly. I just needed you to know. Because I can't go back to pretending we're just polite strangers under the same roof. Polite strangers. That hit hard. It was exactly what we'd become since he moved in. We'd talk in passing, grocery lists, laundry, mail, but our conversations never touched anything real. Until now. Still facing the sink, I said. What happens if he finds out? He didn't need me to explain who I meant. You think he'd care? Tyler asked, bitterly. He's gone 5 nights a week, barely looks up from his phone when he's home. When's the last time you two even talked like a couple? I turned to face him, my voice a little sharper than I expected. That's not your business. Tyler met my eyes. It became my business when I started seeing you cry in your car before walking inside. That stopped me cold. I didn't think he ever noticed. I always wiped my face clean before stepping into the house. You don't know everything, I said, softer now. I know enough, he said, voice calmer. I know he doesn't make you happy. And I know I'm not supposed to feel the way I do, but I do. And you don't look at me like I'm crazy. He was right. I didn't. Because part of me understood exactly where he was coming from, and that terrified me. The sound of a phone buzzing broke the silence. Mine. I picked it up off the counter. His name flashing on the screen, my husband. I didn't answer. You should talk to him, Tyler said. Ask him where he really was tonight. I looked up, confused. What are you talking about? Tyler hesitated. I wasn't supposed to find out. But I did. He's not working late. Not every night. He's been meeting someone. Same car. Same bar. Last Thursday? I followed him. My stomach dropped. Why didn't you tell me this before? I thought you'd defend him. Or hate me for knowing. Now I was the one pacing, running everything through my head in pieces. Tyler had seen something. My husband might be cheating. And here I was, trying to pretend like my own feelings weren't tangled up in something just as wrong. There were layers to this I hadn't even begun to unravel. And the worst part? I didn't know who to trust anymore, not even myself. The silence between us stretched so thin, I thought it might snap. I gripped the edge of the counter with one hand, the phone still warm in the other. His name had disappeared from the screen, but the weight of it stayed. Tyler stood a few feet away, arms at his sides, waiting, not pushing, just being there. I wanted to ask him for details. Dates. Times. What exactly he saw. But part of me didn't want to know. Because if I asked, it would make it real. And I wasn't ready for that yet. My voice was barely above a whisper. Why now? Why are you telling me this tonight? He exhaled through his nose, looked down for a second, then back at me. Because I couldn't hold it in anymore. Watching him lie to you every week. Watching you try to act like everything's fine. And because I wasn't sure what I felt until tonight. His eyes locked on mine. But now I am. The room felt smaller suddenly. Like the air had thickened. I could hear the hum of the fridge, the wind outside against the kitchen window. Everything else was dead quiet. I took a step back, needing space. You don't understand what you're walking into. Yes, I do. No, I said, louder this time. You don't. If any of this comes out, it doesn't just affect me. Or you. It blows everything up. My marriage, your relationship with him, he was never really my dad, Tyler said flatly. You know that. He married you for image. I was just part of the package. The words hit hard because I'd thought them before. I just never said them out loud. I looked away, heart racing. My pulse was in my ears now. There was too much happening. Too many truths I didn't want to face. I turned to walk out of the kitchen, needing air, but he followed. You said I don't understand, he said, voice rising just a bit. But I've seen more than you think. I've watched you fold yourself smaller every day to keep peace in this house. I've seen the way you avoid mirrors. You don't even recognize yourself anymore. That stopped me. Don't, I said, my throat tight. But he kept going. You deserve more than being ignored. You deserve more than playing the perfect wife to someone who isn't even loyal. I turned around, and he was closer than I expected. His face, his words, everything felt too real, too raw. Tell me, he said, voice low now. Tell me I'm wrong. Look me in the eye and say you haven't felt something too. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. I should have walked away. Should have ended it right there. But I didn't. Outside, a car pulled into the driveway. We both froze. Headlights swept across the living room wall. Then the front door handle turned. The front door creaked open, slow and deliberate. Neither of us moved. Tyler's eyes locked on mine. Both of us caught in the moment, hearts pounding, breaths shallow. The sound of keys dropped onto the entry table. Then came footsteps. Steady, unhurried, like he didn't suspect a thing. My husband called out, voice casual, like nothing was off. You're still up. I couldn't answer. Tyler backed away into the kitchen's shadow, silent, careful. I smoothed my hair and stepped into the living room, forcing my voice to sound normal. Yeah, I couldn't sleep. He looked at me, tired but distracted. Something in his face felt off, too calm, too routine. Like he'd practiced this. He set his jacket down, then leaned in to kiss my cheek. I didn't move fast enough. He noticed. Everything okay? He asked. I nodded. Just tired. Behind me, I knew Tyler was listening. Watching. Probably just out of view, around the corner. My husband headed toward the kitchen, and panic hit me. I stepped in front of him. There's leftovers if you're hungry. He paused, squinting. Why are you acting weird? Before I could answer, his phone buzzed. He checked the screen, face going blank for a second too long. Then he turned the screen down on the counter like he didn't want me to see it. Work, he said. I gave a tight smile. At midnight. He didn't respond. That's when Tyler stepped out. Quiet, calm, like he'd made a decision. My husband's eyes narrowed. What's he doing up? Tyler shrugged. Could ask you the same thing. The room shifted instantly. The air turned heavy. I glanced between them, pulse racing. Let's all just, but Tyler cut in. Where were you tonight? My husband laughed under his breath. Excuse me. You said you were working late, Tyler said. But you weren't. I saw you. Twice, actually. Same woman. Same place. The silence that followed was sharp. My husband looked at me, then back at Tyler. You spying on me now? No, Tyler said. Just tired of watching her get lied to. That's when something I didn't expect happened. My husband didn't deny it. He didn't argue. He just stood there. Still. I stepped back, heart sinking. Is it true? I asked. He stared at me, then shrugged like it didn't matter. You were pulling away first. Don't act like I started it. The twist cut deeper than I thought it would. Not just that he cheated, but that he'd been waiting to blame me for it. I turned to walk away, but then he added, You think I don't see what's going on in this house? You think I haven't noticed the looks? I froze. You're not innocent either, he said. Neither of you. He knew. Or at least suspected. And now, the last thread holding this family together was ready to snap. For a few seconds, no one said anything. The room felt like it had stopped breathing. Tyler's jaw was tight. My husband stood with his arms crossed like he had nothing left to lose. And I was somewhere between heartbreak and clarity. He knew. Maybe not everything, but enough. Enough to throw it in our faces and see what we'd do. I looked at Tyler, then back at the man I married. You were cheating, I said. And you were going to just stand there and act like this is my fault? He raised his hands like it wasn't a big deal. Marriage takes two people. You checked out months ago. Tyler stepped forward. She checked out because she stopped trying to love someone who didn't care. Don't talk to me like you know anything about love, my husband snapped. Tyler didn't flinch. I know more than you think. I stepped between them, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. This was spiraling. I want the truth, I said. Not what you think I deserve to hear. The truth. Are you in love with her? He didn't answer. Just looked at the ground like it was easier than looking at me. That was enough. I want out, I said. My voice came out calm, firmer than I expected. This marriage is over. He scoffed. Over what? Some rumors and a kid with a crush. Tyler stepped up before I could stop him. It's not a crush. And it's not your decision anymore. But what happened next? None of us saw coming. My husband walked to the door without saying another word, opened it, and stood there with a strange smile. You sure you want to blow this all up tonight? You sure you're ready to deal with what happens next? And then she walked in. A woman. Early 30s maybe. Blonde. Quiet. She stepped inside like she'd been here before. Like this wasn't new. I stared at her, then back at him. Who is she? He looked me right in the eyes. She's pregnant. My knees almost gave out. The woman looked uncomfortable, but said nothing. I backed up, shaking my head, trying to find air. You brought her here. Tonight? Tyler moved toward me, but I held up my hand. I needed space. I needed truth. I figured, my husband said, if we were done, we might as well stop pretending. The word stung, pretending. That's what Tyler had said to me just hours ago. I looked at both of them, my soon-to-be ex and the woman who would now carry a permanent connection to him, and I knew I was done. Completely done. But then I turned to Tyler. And what I saw in his eyes wasn't confusion or fear. It was something else. He stepped closer, put his hand gently on mine, and said, "You're not alone." And I believed him. Even in all this mess, even in the wreckage, there was something real. The door closed behind them with a soft click. He didn't say goodbye. Neither did she. The silence they left behind was heavier than any shouting match could have been. I stood still for a moment, staring at the space they had just occupied, trying to process how fast everything had unraveled. But maybe it hadn't unraveled fast at all. Maybe it had been falling apart for a long time, and tonight just tore the curtain down. Tyler stayed beside me, not pushing, not talking, just present. That's what I noticed most about him. He didn't fill the silence with noise. He let me feel what I needed to feel. I finally sat down on the edge of the couch, my body sinking into the cushions like I hadn't sat down in days. Maybe I hadn't. Not really. Not without pressure pressing in on all sides. Tyler followed quietly and sat across from me, waiting. You didn't have to step in, I said. I did, he replied. I couldn't watch it anymore. You didn't deserve any of it. A part of me wanted to argue, to say I should have seen the signs sooner. But I didn't. And now I was here, tired, heart bruised, but still standing. So what happens now? I asked, mostly to myself. He leaned forward. Whatever you want. A clean start. A different house. A break from everything. I looked at him, really looked at him, and realized something had shifted in both of us. This whole thing had started in silence, in looks we didn't talk about, in feelings we pushed down. But now? Everything was on the table. We didn't need to define it tonight. We didn't need promises or plans. What we needed, what I needed, was a way forward. And that path was finally clear. I need time, I said. I know, he replied. And space. Take all you need. There was no pressure in his voice. Just patience. And somehow, that meant more than anything he could have said. I stood up and walked to the hallway, pausing before turning the corner. Thanks for being honest with me. For not pretending. He gave a small smile. I said I was done pretending, remember? I nodded, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt free. We don't always choose how stories start, but sometimes we get to choose how they end. And this, whatever it becomes, would start from truth. From honesty. From finally being seen. If you made it this far, I want to know what you think. Did the ending hit you the way you expected? Do you think she should move on alone or give him a chance someday? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. And if you want a part 2 or a new twist on their future, let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. Your support means everything, and it keeps stories like this alive.